Onde Onde Mtsan. This is Thongya, a podcast by the District 7 Legislative Office. Welcome, everyone, to episode 9 of Thongya, our podcast sponsored by our Kiowa District 7 Legislative Office. How you doing today, Dr. Brad?
I am doing better. Only thing I don't see too well, but I've been to the optometrist and a little dilation there. So if I talk with my hands a lot more, y'all excuse me, okay?
No, that's all right. We're here today with our special guest, the Kiowa Club of the University of Oklahoma. All higher education students here at the institution here. I'm going to go ahead and let themselves introduce themselves at this time.
Kionde da, Deonde Batsan, Hajana Post Kan, St. Pete Dog, Yama Algoy Kan, University of Oklahoma Gya Agu on Gya. Anadarko Gya Aki Clinton Gya Akidal. Hello everyone, my name is Hajana Post. I am currently serving as a vice president of the Kiowa Club. I'm a junior here at OU, majoring in psychology and minoring in public affairs and administration.
Segi.
Take a sip.
Leonde. Jahia Quality Goy Call Hey Nado. Hello, my name is Jahia Quality. I'm a senior here at the University of Oklahoma. I am a major in Native American Studies and a minor in linguistics. And I currently serve as the Cultural Affairs Chair here for the Kiowa Club, and I'm also the Recreational Affairs Chair for the American Indian Student Association.
Did you say your Kiowa name was Hangedal?
Might as well be.
Yeah. You don't have a Kiowa name yet.
No.
I'm just teasing you.
Yeah.
Nickname now, though. Hangedal.
Better than teepee flowers.
We'll go ahead and give it a little break, and we'll have Angelin.
Angelin Connie Riddy Alcon, Sol Sama Agoy Con, Kibon ga Quiton ga Connie Riddy ga Henry Tape Goat Neda, Norman ga Kiro, Norman ga Kia. My name is Angelin Connie Riddy. I am a graduate student here at the University of Oklahoma. I graduated with my bachelor's in journalism and mass communication last year, and then I'm continuing my graduate studies at the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication as well, and I'm serving as the treasurer for Kiowa Club this year.
Money girl.
Deonde. Ha Julia Guerrero Akon Ga Langia Akia, University of Oklahoma Agut Agia. Hello everyone, my name is Julia Guerrero from Lawton, Oklahoma. I graduated with my bachelor's here at OU with Native American Community Health and Ethics, and I'm currently in grad school getting my master's in criminal justice, and I am serving as the graduate rep for the Kiowa Club, and as well serving as the graduate rep for the ASA.
Oh, well, welcome. We just wanted to invite you all on this podcast here and visit with you, just because me and Dr. Brad enjoy the energy that we get from young people that, through their endeavors of education. And me and Dr. Brad are both teachers. Dr. Brad's been my mentor for, we just said, 25 years.
Since your diaper changing.
Yeah, I know. Since I walked on this campus. And I said, there you are, Dr. Brad.
Welcome.
No, but it's been we've been at this institution for a long time. Me and Dr. Brad met in 1999, and then I've seen Julia come here as a student, and then Angelin come here as a student, and I wasn't here when my nephew here, Jahia and Hojona, came, but we just wanted to visit with you all, mainly, talk about what your needs may be as a student attending this university, and help me to understand, how can we meet those needs and support our young people. So I guess that's my first question to you all, and y'all respond. How can the tribe support you better as you pursue a degree in higher education? Or what support do they currently give you, if any? And how can that be enhanced in future?
God, alongside. Well, let me be the
Well,
judge.
well, thankfully, the Kiowa tribe has a higher education program, or I think it's called the Kiowa Education Agency. And through them, Kiowa students are able to get financial support, along with pathways for other scholarships outside of the grants that they are able to give. And I think that's from the tribe's perspective, their ability to help us is mainly through the agency. And I think us starting this Kiowa Club, we got a lot of community support from not only the Kiowa tribe, but the Kiowa people, especially that surround or live in the Norman area. And I do think that is something that I'm really thankful for, and I know the rest of the Kiowa Club is really thankful for the community support that we have gotten since starting. And honestly, I feel in some ways all of the co-founders are just really thankful that we have gotten this far with Kiowa Club itself, due to the community support and then the support that we get from the KEA. So yeah, that's my piece.
Anyone else?
I mean, it's basically exactly what she said. At least for me, I got a lot of help through the higher education, and they helped me a lot financially, and just keep me up to date with everything that I need to do to receive just any other kinds of services from the tribe. So I'm really appreciative of that. And then, the whole Kiowa Club deal, we didn't expect it to go where it went. It started out as a little, what if we did this? What if we did that? What if it blew up into this? We didn't expect it to just grow. And the next thing we know, we created it. And then we're number 2 trend on Facebook when we released our account. So
sound like a good 49.
Yeah. So when that happened, we were just I guess we got something here, and roll with it. So
how many members do y'all have right now in Kiowa Club?
Exact or just general body?
Estimated.
I want to, if we look on our gauge, I want to say around, enrolled through the OU, our club website, probably around 15, 20.
Yeah.
I know that isn't an estimate of the Kiowa population here on OU's campus, but it's the ones who just signed through the OU services that we can keep documented.
I think it's interesting, a couple years back, me and Dr. Brett have kind of seen, American Indian programs and services kind of evolve. And we had our own Native office located in the old Jim Thorpe building, which was located off of Jenkins and Elm. It was in the basement, right?
Yeah,
That's where Dr. Hobson, they had an Indian building. And it was kind of they kind of did away with that.
Yeah, well.
It was kind of I guess, under the auspices of, inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, this dare to be different idea that, Native people don't thrive when they're segregated in one building. They wanted us to be all in the same building, so they moved us to the Union and put us in the Center for Student Life. And then each ethnicity, race, they have their own office there. But the point was to integrate them into one office.
I call it academic colonialism.
Yeah, that's what Dr. Brett. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
we still do.
Yeah.
Because but for Native people, we thrive when we are around our own community, just like y'all have done. And creating that community is really important for tribal citizens that are attending this university. You got a thought on that, Dr. Brett?
Yeah, I most certainly do. In terms of the developments here today, it seems like to some extent it's taken a backward step to what we were exposed to. When I say we, I'm talking about myself, not as much Warren, because he can speak to his generation. But we were the people who set up the direction for civil rights. We were the people who set up the directions for equal opportunities for people and all the turmoils, as you call it. So we went through all that to establish a better life for kids here on campus, Indian kids, the way we see it through our perspective, not necessarily through the non-Indian perspective, which was predominant at that time. So when I say colonial academics, that's what I'm talking about. I still kind of give it to you from their perspective. My question is a little different to you. How do you see it? Do you see it as a Kiowa person, or do you see it as a person and there's neither one that's right or wrong? That's your choice. But what do you bring? What did you bring here as a Kiowa that you felt like needed to be continued here on campus, or reinforced, or both here on campus? Or did you tune in pretty good as a non-Indian person, join the ranks, and you did a little something different? That you deviated by formulating your club. That's one good. Now, what's more of it, though? Well, what are they going to do besides what they've done in the past? How are they going to? What's your special? Bad word. What's your unique, culturally related, academic needs? What are your needs, and are they being addressed any at all here? My answer is prejudicially yes, through Native American studies, because you had Indian professors who had a Native perspective who could teach in a Native perspective. I even take it further down and say, Kiowa what? They wouldn't understand that though. So, is there anything that you see that you really gravitate to as a Kiowa student, not just as a student? That's fine. That's unique here to you, or do you find it everywhere now across the universities? Warren calls them institutions. I like to call them universities myself. But is there anything different or unique that you felt like you had to have a Kiowa club?
I guess I can speak on this.
Yeah,
Well, apart from being vice president of Kiowa Club, I also currently serve as the American Indian Student Association president. Yeah. So I feel like I come into like answering that question in a very unique sense, because I see the stuff that happens between the university, the government, especially with the Governor Stitt's DEI executive order that happened within this past semester.
Yes.
That just got rid of the American Indian Students Program and Services entirely, and had all of the events that they had put on moved on to ASA. So I get to, well, funny enough, 3 people in this room, Julia and Jahia, they're also serving on ASA exec, so they've also been kind of seeing the behind the scenes work that we as an exec board are trying to keep up with as students, but also just trying to maintain our composure with like such a, honestly, it does feel like a step back, but we're trying to maintain like still being strong, still being resilient, still working hard. I mean, we put on, ASA hosted the first, or not even first, but the Indigenous Peoples Day here at OU, and it was the first time ASA was hosting it. And that garnered, like, through the DEI, we really heavily relied on community support, Native Nations, the NAS department, the higher education there, Native program over there, and then all of the student leaders from all these different Native organizations. I do feel like as a Kiowa woman, like coming into this, I recognize that all of us grow up with a sense of knowledge from our elders, from the ways of our knowing and our inherent being as Kiowa people. And so I'm coming in tackling like kind of this issue as like a strong, resilient Kiowa woman, because I know my mama, I know my grandmas, they're strong, they're resilient. And so I'm keeping that same mentality to keep on showing that we are still here, and it's like we are continuing, unfortunately, to be a strong presence to our own governor and to the university, to show that the American Indian student population is still strong, very strong. And I really think that our academic support has really helped with the Native Nation Center being willing to support and contribute to all these different Native, not just Kiowa Club, but also Osage Club, the Indigenous Art Forums. These are like different clubs that have popped up within this past year, which is really exciting and just shows that the Native student population is still continuing to grow. And we are, if no one else in like higher up is going to provide space, then we are going to make space for it. And that is kind of where we as Kiowa Club came together as just Kiowa people sharing that culture, sharing that language, and we just came together and just wanted to also have a little part of our community here on campus, along with the ASA, the Indigenous like sorority, fraternity, all of that. And so we just wanted a space where we can relate to our families. Like, we could talk about Gord Clan, we could talk about Tonkonga, like all of these different things as Kiowa people.
Culture.
And
I think it's important that you be able to keep your uniqueness and being cognizant of the fact that you got to blend at times to get along. But so do they. No, not always us. They need to learn a lot more about it, and they haven't yet. And I'm not being critical. This is the voice of experience now and wisdom, and not just my political positioning. I would like to see them do more for you by encouraging you to do that. Nothing wrong with it. There's 39 tribes here in Oklahoma. There's over 500 plus in the United States. It's hard to be unique when you come to a university with those numbers behind you, etc. So we had, I think as Kiowa people at one time, the key word for us socially was community. And I like to take that, I said, and make it happen here on OU's campus. That's the Native American Studies program. Academically, culturally, blah, blah, blah. Didn't overstep our boundaries, didn't violate it, and respected the culture when we knew of it, which we had people who did. I don't know how many professors you'll have who have that mentality for you. That's why Warren was talking about the office was really a gathering place. It was the hub for all Indian students, led by, in my opinion, Kiowa people. Nothing wrong with that at all. At least they had some place to go, whereas before they had, just a little space of being Chickasaw or Cherokee or whatever. Imagine what it'd be when you get here, and there aren't too many Navajo people here at OU. There may be 6, 7, 8. So numbers are secondary. It's a spirit that counts, and I'm glad to hear you say what you said about that. I encourage y'all to continue stronger, not to separate yourself. That's political, but to show your uniqueness and be respected for it and be a leader in that area. So I like to see the emergence of the hub again on campus, and maybe Native Nations is. It wasn't here when I was here. It was Native American Studies, and it was very small, but it was large.
Interesting that they with this new executive order came down through the state of Oklahoma. We always had the American Indian Student Services, and then changed to American Indian Programs and Services, but now that's no longer there. So it's being kind of like they have a person in there, but I don't think they're just what do you call it? I guess an engagement coordinator, outreach. So now the students are having to create this sense of community, and I think that's really something we didn't have to do because we always had professors like yourself, Dr. Bredd, or Lindy Waters, or Dr. Yellowfish, and American Indian Student Services. I will say this: when I was going to school here, there was probably 50 or 60 strong organizations, but the core community. You had people from Pawnee, Osage, all these other tribes. They had culturally unique. As Dr. Ray was talking about, people that came from those communities here at this institution, and it created that really, lack of a better term, or we'll say intertribal community here with Native faculty, like Dr. Bredd. There was probably about 20 or 30 Native faculty that were hardcore, come from their communities, knew what it was through experience to be a Native American working at a university. Do y'all have that anymore? Do you think it's kind of dwindled, or?
Angel eye.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a personal question. Who's your parents?
Cricket, Connie Wordy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
You're the little Caddo girl, huh?
Yeah.
With that picture of 4 people in there, 5 people, 5. You don't know that picture? Your mom and your dad and mom took pictures of some.
You have to excuse Dr. Brett. You have to excuse Dr. Brett. His eyes just focused in on him.
I thought there was something familiar about you, but no, it's an honor to know that your parents, your mother was a student of mine, and y'all are carrying on their legacy here.
Oh, that's right.
And same thing with this one with her brother, I was kidding him outside. Same thing with name Colity. I got some Colity, some family, same thing over here. But it's good to know that who you are, and excuse me for gawking, because I can't say good for one thing, but now I'm beginning to see better. So that's cricket.
See the resemblance,
What was the question?
So comment on that sense of community.
Yeah.
Do you have that still with Native faculty or Native community here at the University of Oklahoma?
Just based on kind of what I've heard from people that have been in Native American studies in the past, I think that it has kind of dwindled a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that students have really had to step up and create our own community, like we've been saying. I mean, I've just seen Hajona like put in so much work this semester because she is the president of ASA, and it's so much work on top of
Sure.
all of her studies and everything. And I do wish that we had more support as students.
Sure.
Yeah.
On that is what you think
Yeah,
about
I would-
community here.
I would have to agree that it has dwindled, like the support, maybe not support, but just the outreach from faculty and like trying to get things involved and events going. It's definitely a high reliance on student organizations to pull through, and that's just a lot when it comes to not only being a student but also having to put these things on. And like as a student, we're almost like forced to have one foot on the pavement and then one foot on the grass.
Yeah,
You
it's
almost
good
have
put,
to
well
be
put.
separated, like I have to be two different people.
Yeah.
My academic side, I have to sit, study, make sure everything's good on that
Make
end.
the grade, yeah.
Yeah, and then on my foot, like on the grass part, what I mean by that is being culturally involved. I love my traditions. I love hand game. That's my family. They all know this. Talk about hand game like every weekend. So like just trying to intertwine those two things, and that can be really hard for a Native student, especially at OU. Like how do we connect those two things? So I think for Kiowa Club, it's definitely helped us to just bond and have a space where not only are we all students, but we also are like culturally involved.
Mm-hmm.
So having that space just makes us feel welcome and actually have a space to talk about that.
Creativeness is the spirit, and we've had one of the reasons Mr. Wheaton here has made the progress he's did was because of his creativeness with his fellow students at one time. So he would go a different way with leadership. That's another key word right now. So I'm looking at community. One of the biggest programs we had here, believe it or not, was not one that was well publicly made. It's called community mentorship program.
Mm-hmm.
And what we would do creatively, would identify some Indian students that wanted to be mentors to other Indian students, and we would pay them from some money that we had.
Scholarship.
Yeah, scholarship money we got from the State Department. We had to sit down and create that program, so it evolved into what we call the mentorship program for minority students. And I say mentorship because that was one of the key research variables that came out as to what influenced retention, recruitment, success, and progress. They didn't have anybody they could identify with, and simply put. And we created that program. Our graduation rate increased 400% in 5 years. We had a community there. We had the leadership.
It's called a retention mentorship program.
Exactly. And that's what I said. They continued that as we went along until we ran into the politics of today.
Dare to be different.
Definitely.
Putting everybody in together. So when I was a retention intern, I had to like mentor people from, African American backgrounds, Asian American backgrounds, Latino backgrounds, and I didn't really know how to relate to them, and that became an issue. But when I came to school, I had an Indian mentor that I could talk to, and it kind of changed over time, but then it kind of lost its focus on developing that community. I think it's what Dr. Brett's talking about.
Definitely.
You have to identify with people, and so y'all establishing this OU Kiowa Club, more Kiowas are going to gravitate here now because y'all have that community built. And we're already clannish people. Like any Kiowas, we will seek each other out.
Yeah.
Even if you go to another city, you're going to find some Kiowas somewhere.
Yes.
We'll seek each other.
They're going to always come together too when they're in that city themselves.
Absolutely.
I encourage you to continue your thoughts in terms of bringing Kiowa students together. I encourage you so much to where I'm willing to sponsor when necessary. activity. Now, my point being, don't get sidetracked with it too much, because you are here for a purpose, and that's
Yeah.
you. You're here for you
Yeah.
right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. You got to graduate. But I would encourage you to reach out. There's outreach, and then there's reaching out. So y'all are doing outreach now, but like Warren and then we were talking about, this is reaching out. This podcast is reaching out. He didn't do that. We didn't do that for District 7 until we sat down and negotiated and had good think tanks. What can we do? This podcast under his leadership, blah, blah, blah. So if you could do some reach out to the Indian community here informally, don't like the word formal, informally, Dr. Brett, hey, we thought we'd come on and visit you for just a minute. Come on in, y'all come on and sit down. We'll be Kiowa people. Sit down and talk to us. What y'all need? Well, we just come and say hello, see how y'all doing.
Box of kidney.
6
Here's your kidney. Say, they were just talking about a kidney eating contest. They were gonna have it.
That little episode does so much for
Yeah.
the community to where you got a network. And if you need something, you can go and call, and they have a network. But hey, we don't have about 30, 40 Kiowas living in Norman. Living. I don't mean going to school here. My granddaughter goes, she's first, third generation OU. I don't say Sooners. That's not my thing. I'm not a Sooner. Never will be. But that's political. So if y'all could do some more reaching out to the community, they will reinforce your community here at OU. You have more sources and resources, just like your mama and your dad, at times. So they done so much for us with their here. They were part of it. Couldn't get her off the language thing. She's still on that pretty hard.
She's
isn't
still,
she?
yeah.
But that's crucial too, is your language.
They all used
Yeah.
it.
I know, I noticed that, but you need to use it more among yourselves. Don't get like Grandpa used to get mad at us, and because he got mad because we didn't say it right, we don't say it.
Yeah.
That's an old pedagogical thought, teaching. You don't do it with criticism, you do it with compliments and encouragement in terms of teaching the language. So practice it some more. Sing a little bit if you know some of it. Sing it. That's it. Not now.
Dr. Brett brought up a really good point, and I think it's important we focus in on this, because I was in your shoes as ASA president.
Yes.
And I sat in Dr. Brett's office one time, and I had to withdraw from school because my grades had suffered such a point where Dr. Brett, he sat me down and gave me a good lecturing, but I had to do what I had to do. Because, like Julia was talking about, having that 1 foot on the sidewalk and 1 foot on the grass. Sometimes you'll find yourself overtaxed, overworked, because it is a job. So developing community, maybe, I'd encourage you to really focus in on what's the important part. ACE is one thing, but for them to have you coordinate Indigenous Peoples Day.
Wow.
That's a lot of work. That's a full-time job for this semester. But you're doing this club too. You're going to find yourself out of balance and out of harmony with your own life and your academics. So just like Dr. Brett said, the point of coming to the University of Oklahoma, that's not the goal. The goal is leaving with that piece of paper that nobody else can take away from you, saying that you have a degree in, human relations, or, a doctorate or master's degree. That's what the point is. Not now, the community's all well and good. You're going to really have a good time with that. But that's not your sole focus of being at this university, as Dr. Brett was talking about. So, encouraging, just want to encourage you all to take that to heart, because I've been there. Being the president of OU ACE is not going to get you a job in the future. It might, I don't know.
Did it?
Dr. Brett looked at me like, don't quit your lying. You got hired. But, it was a really good experience. I met some really great people.
I got another question for you. I'm gonna him and I are beginning to be real skins about it, meaning we talk a lot, dominate. Excuse us for that, but I'm so thrilled to see y'all, especially y'all represent people like my grandkids. Besides, I'm the 7th generation now. I got great grandchildren too, as it is right now. So hopefully I can live to see them going here. But what can not to be critical, what you described, what the tribe does for you, was done 50 years ago on this campus to Indian kids. I know because I was one of the first counselors here for the Bureau of Indian Affairs when they hired counselors to come and work with Indian students for retention on campuses. Okay, so I said it's getting kind of outdated. That's what I meant by culture-related academic needs. What else could the tribe do besides just all home? Yeah, well, just thank you, Lord, we got that. How can they help you intellectually, socially, spiritually, without having to depend on as a tribe? You know, they can come in, or can they do more for you than just the? I put it the wrong way. Can they do more for you than financially assisting you? Because the biggest issues, as I know it, among retention and graduation and everything, has to do with finances. But for example, it's knowing how to manage your finances. And I don't know if they do, you're way over there. They're calling you. Meaning the people who do that service. Can the tribe come in and do something like that for you, help you a little bit more, if you allow them to? Not that it's required. Or what can they do? Some things they can do to help you stay here longer and be more successful for yourself as well as serving your community. Is that, can they do more than just the money and say bye? Would you like to see them do more? And if so, what would you have in mind? Come here like the one's doing with you right now, talking with you, and the podcast. Well, what about some of the culture? Bring that on campus, or you go inviting guests to come in and talk with them, or whatever. So I would like to hear anything you may have, any suggestions the tribe can do more for you to assure you'll succeed here, that this college is not doing for you. Ever think about that?
Yeah, I always think about that. I think it's wonderful that the tribe does help us with college and pays for us, and but money can only go so far. And like, what do we do after graduation? They always prepare us to graduate, but what's after that? I don't have any resources for that. Obviously, I am going to college to find a job, but there's nothing after that. The the tribe just
career fair.
Yeah. So,
career path or something like that.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely a lot of things that the tribe can do in order for our students to be successful, and I think maybe one of those things could just be speakers to come out and talk to the students, definitely high school students. I know during the summertime the Kiowa Club actually volunteered, I forgot what the summer camp was called. The language fair, and just talking to the students there. They got to talk to us as college students, and they had some questions. I know I've talked to a few of them, and it's just getting to talk to the high school students about like what's to come, and like encouraging them, and also instilling confidence. I think I would have liked that as somebody that was going to college, like someone to talk to me about that.
And I think that for people that are in college right now, I mean, speakers to come out and help with like resume building and just working on, like academic stuff and plans for post-graduation. Because we have a lot of educated Kiowas that can come and talk to us about that. So I think that that would be a good idea to have some people come out and kind of have speakers. Maybe we could have some club meetings where we have speakers come out, and that could also be on the cultural side too. Yeah. What do these different societies mean, and stories behind that. We've talked a little bit about that, but we haven't really set anything in place, but we have had those ideas.
Yeah, I'm real big on the cultural part too, is just demonstrating who we are. Like we can only do so much to represent like our whole entire community, our tribal community, but that's like on us though. Just like, for example, next weekend is the Gourd Dance. Yeah. That's hosted by ASA, but as Kiowa Club, we're co-hosting it. And so, like, that's great and all. We take pride and honor in it, but it's like, what can the tribe do to, like, kind of keep this from not necessarily having that, not pressure, but just that, kind of that sense of responsibility, like, if we need to represent who the Kiowas are or who we are and our native people, that's on us. Like, well, what can the tribe do to help us with that, too? And just like she said, the societies that we got, there's a lot of educated Kiowas, but what about those who aren't culturally educated? So what can the tribe do for that?
Good point.
Yeah.
I think there's a generation that exists. I think my generation are not in the same category, but we show some indication of that as a result of being educated away from it, as a result of the programs, relocation programs, blah, 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 assimilation focused policies. Still remnants. That's what I call it colonialism right now, academically with y'all here. So I agree with you. I think it can happen. I'm a strong, just like his gentleman, we're very strong advocates, but we're a small voice in a big area. And we scream all we want to you. Sometimes you're not heard. So that's why this podcast, for one thing, people can hear us. I'm saying, tribe, let's get together and offer them a little bit more along the lines of their individuality, academically, spiritually, personally. Since they took away the counselors and all that other activity that we built up here, let's get the tribe government obligated more, committed more towards dealing with you.
Engaged.
Here's an idea. What's your degree going to be in? I'm sorry.
Native American Studies.
What else? What else besides?
And minor in linguistics.
Okay, what are you going to do with that degree in reference to a tribe? Are you?
It's probably like teacher somewhere along the
Okay,
lines.
so
on
you
the
got
linguist
something
department.
before you that you can work towards in working with the tribe per se. Now, I would come out and say, Mr. Tribe, I got an internship that you might be interested in your senior year here with the tribe on campus here in terms of language development, blah, 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 and I'd like to offer it to you, but you got to work for it.
Yeah.
And I know you'd say yes. So we pay you a little bit more on top of it if you take the internship with Mr. Wheaton here and let you get some experience, and we'd like to see you come out and work with the tribe as one of our whatever instructors in that area. Same thing with you. Same thing. Now, if you're trying to find a place in a career in Indian affairs, that was difficult at one time because I think the tribes did not go out and recruit their own people. They let the universities do that, and the universities didn't have any knowledge on how to go about doing that with the tribe because of their history. So there's an idea as far as communicating with your tribal officials. Ask, do y'all have any place we might be able to work if I'm interested in finances or law or education or health? And if so, I'd like to do an internship. You got enough flexibility in your curriculum plan to do a 3-hour internship at.
You still do it here at the university.
Do they?
Yeah, for Native American Studies
But
students.
this time, so I'm encouraging them to take advantage of it with, even if they're not Native American Studies majors.
Yeah.
You can do it under flexibility of your curriculum guide. If you're looking for a career, that's how your brother got it. Just what I just said. He's now national director of Indian education in Washington, D.C. And I was kidding him. I said, if I hadn't come into that classroom that day, you'd be probably science major and something else, not an NAS major with a focus on American Indian education. So it can work. It still can work. But we need you guys to let them know it can work because these guys are already gone.
I have a follow-up question to that. Kind of goes in line with Dr. Brett's saying, once you get your degrees, like you were talking about, y'all will be there, What's the next step? Well, y'all are going to become capital that the tribe needs. But what happens is, let me ask you this. Will you go back and work for the tribe where they're located now? Think about that, and think, would y'all work for your people? Knowing that you're going to have to move to Southwest Oklahoma. And I pose that as a question because a lot of our educated Kiowas, they come to Norman and they don't go back.
I mean, they're humans.
Because let me just I want y'all to answer that. Let's ask. Will you go back and work for your people in Southwest Oklahoma? And y'all can be very honest with us. What do you think about that?
I think I come in at a very unique perspective because I also took a break from university for a semester, and I did go work for the executive office with the chairman, and I worked really closely with Suzanne. I was an office assistant. So
Suzanne Weiss.
Suzanne Weiss. And I got to see the behind the scenes from a higher level within how the tribe works. I interacted with Ward when I needed to email and stuff. So I think for me, my end goal, since I have started my academic journey way before college, way before, I think it's always been instilled in me since, I want to say, since Head Start, that I have wanted to give back to my community. It's always been something that is something still very close to my heart, and I personally am taking steps to find ways to give back in various different like spheres, I guess. I am also work really closely with the language department, just because my mom, Melody Redbird Post.
Big part of the grant.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
the grant.
The grant.
Yeah, she wrote the thing.
I have always been like in like knowing what needs to happen, the next steps, and so I'm on now a path to also be a teacher. The next time they do the round, I'm taking the test to hopefully be credentialed.
She would be what we call a good Kiowa fellow.
Yeah.
Academically, a mixture of Indian and non-Indian concepts and values, and you would be a scholarship person for a Kiowa fellow, which means when you finish, we help you get through finish, you can go back, you got guaranteed.
Zemte, if we had a fellow. Zemte fellowship program.
When it comes to that, but that's what I mean by the tribe helping you a little bit more. Just basic stuff. And I try to encourage the tribe to be more creative with how you help these young people, and especially this time of age. Man, groceries cost you 125-40% than what it did last year.
Oh yeah.
Your housing here, I mean, your money don't pay enough. Well, we need some help. Well, give them some help. Let them work for it.
Sagib, your response to my question, would you go back and work and live down there?
I don't know about living, but I would definitely work for the people.
Good response.
Yeah, I don't know about living, but I would definitely work for
And
my
be
people.
honest, what's the problem with living down there?
It's just, it's just like back then, ain't nothing out there. It's really just a very small community. Like, no offense, but even like me and Hojona, we went to Anadarko, and ever since, I'm pretty sure I can speak for both of us. When we came to OU and living in Norman, in a bigger actual city instead of like a small town, we don't want to go back. Like, I don't ever go back to Darko unless it's just specifically family, or even like this past weekend, Tonkonga. That's the only time I'm around back down that way. Other than that, I just love being up here in the urban area.
Yeah.
It's just
A lot of your young people
bigger
got
space.
different backgrounds now than what we did, even than what he had.
Yeah.
I would say the same.
Yeah,
Like I would work for them, but probably not live down there. Just because I have grown up in Norman, and like this is my home, and so I'm kind of used to more, urban areas, and yeah, just basically the same for
What
me.
about yourself?
Well, I'm from Lawton.
Dr. Red from Lawton.
8580?
Mountains is what you think.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I think my perspective, a little bit about me, I grew up in a military family. So for most of my life, I have been moving to state every 2 to 3 years, even overseas. Living in Germany, Stuttgart, Germany for 3 years. That was a lot. That was tough on me growing up. So for me, it was always instilled in me to I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I want to be with my family. I want to be with my people. And I think that's still instilled in me. And I would go back home and work for my tribe. And that's what I aim,
Intend to do.
Yeah, that's what I intend to do. So whichever route, I'm not sure whatever direction I'm going in, I'm gonna be somewhere, but I do want to work for my tribe. But I will say, probably after graduation, I will probably work not with the tribe, just to gain some experience, because I want to bring the best of me to the tribe. That's what I will say.
Well, when it comes time, y'all are samples of a change that occurs among our young people. They're my grandchildren right now compared to my own son or something. I'm talking about generations. And in Oklahoma, my theory is that we got a different perspective than in Navajo or than in Sioux people, or with all due respect. We're a lot more integrated, for lack of a better word. Not assimilated, but integrated, and therefore our perspectives are a little different. And a lot of people give you the same answer you do, and that you do. I would think you would. This is your place, and you like it. And I've been talking, you name it. Yeah, and I hear you. My major thing is hunger. You don't have enough money to pay your bills to eat, but if that's what God's may put in you, then so be it. More power to you. But don't feel odd that you're answering the way you do, because many of our Indian students in today's world think like you do, but they just out of respect don't say it.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't go back to Tuba City. I wouldn't go back to Crown Point, New Mexico, even though I'm not there, but I can understand that. So it's something that our Indian tribes need to understand too. Your generations are different.
Especially our Kiowa tribe.
Yes,
it's 50%. We had 2 out of the 4 say they would not want to work down there in our jurisdiction, and I think that focuses on a key point is how do we understand that and create these spaces to work for your people but not live down there when there's such a staunch population when you get down to Kiowa proper.
Definitely.
Carnegie I'm being pretty nice about it, but they want you there in that complex 8 to 5. They need to be accessible to me right now when I need help. Right. But they forget that half the tribe does not live down there. They live where you're living, outside the jurisdiction. So I think that's the key point. How do we open up those resources and utilize resources like yourself, because you're all going to have degrees before long. And we're going to need your human capital. But how do we create those spaces? And I think so much of our tribe, the administration, is focused on 8 to 5 work in Carnegie or Anadarko in office. How do we create these spaces to work remotely? Or outreach remotely, offices to work from Oklahoma City, Norman, Tulsa.
Well, I've been hitting on them to develop their knowledge and awareness of technology.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to say, but if you do it and they don't know what they're doing, you're going to get back to where non-Indian people come in and tell you what to do again.
Well, we're still in the dark ages down there at the complex.
See, that's why I ride him as a legislator. Do something about it.
Well, this podcast is an example of outreach.
Good comeback.
And we have a TikTok, Dr. Red. You're not on TikTok yet, but we're working on it.
I've already been informed I am.
Yeah, you are? Oh. Well, check him out on TikTok at JC Bread.
That's another thing I was talking to y'all about is social network activity, how you really feel about it. Is it good for our people? Is a problem with it?
That's a great question.
Because I think it's something you're going to have to deal with as you get into your 20s and 30s. Yeah. It's
Facebook's not good for the people.
See, that's why I said I'm
toxic.
Not on,
it's too toxic.
I'm not on it. But I heard I was last week from my niece.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Dr. Rick, because this just came out in our legislative meeting this morning. Our District 5 new legislator, she wants to write a law for free press and include social media in that law on how we have an independent press to report not just only the good stuff, but also investigative inquiries. How do we inform people about what's really going on in the tribe? Unbiased news. But it's a challenge because you got 20, 25 Facebook pages involving Kiowas where every one of them has an opinion, and they can go to that Facebook page and put you on blast. It's kind of... It's a real issue. So, your response, is there a good way that we need to be communicating? How about free press? What do y'all think?
I gotta go.
Oh, well, sorry. Dr. Brett has to take off a little early, but I'll finish this question out.
Yeah, definitely.
So back to my question. Free press for the tribe, is it needed or not?
I think it's very much needed. Just going in, I feel like there's a gap of kind of access to like news, access to like what's going on, the happenings that are happening not only in like Carnegie area but also Kiowa country elsewhere. I feel like everyone's disconnected from each other, and I think if I'm thinking about this in the right way, like social media, like access to like having a consistent way of accessing information, I do think that would be better for Kiowa people. I mean, I just know if we get to the point where we are actively trying to get knowledge out there, if we have even, now we're at the point where our generation is coming up and getting into, like, we are already all voting for the tribe, and we are at this point where I feel, I'm speaking for myself, but I am kind of out of the loop with what's happening, especially as a student here at OU in Norman, outside of where the offices are in Carnegie. I feel like I don't really have any knowledge of like what's going on directly, unbiased, like opinionated. Of course, I do hear stuff like what's the happenings in Kiowa country because we're just Kiowa people.
Yeah,
I mean,
it happens.
It happens. But having a source where anyone and everyone can get access to Kiowa news, unbiased, bad, good, neutral, it would, in a theoretical sense, be great, I think, to allow for people to just know and be aware that things are happening. And back to the point of Facebook, Facebook is just everyone's stomping grounds. I really don't use Facebook that much just because I'm more on Instagram.
Sure. TikTok.
Not really, but like Snapchat, but that's just more so like personal. But I go to news, like I mainly, now that I'm thinking about it, looking at the newsletters that I get through my emails, and then also whatever news that is happening on that I get through Instagram. Of course, there's news apps and whatever, but I don't think the Kiowa tribe itself is there to a point where we can develop our own news app.
But if we had a free press,
But if we had free press,
they could do that. They could figure out how to do that.
And I think that would be beneficial.
And learn how to communicate.
And maybe if we have like classes to educate, not only like, because we all, the younger generations, kind of know, we grew up in this new age of new technology. We know what's happening, but if we had classes to also inform the older generations of how to use apps, of how to use, just learn better on how to use technology, especially these like news platforms, social media platforms, I think that would be also beneficial, and maybe that's something that can also be talked about, because if we don't inform, if it's just us knowing, then it's not really beneficial because everyone needs to know. And so I think there's a couple steps into getting to the point where that can happen, but I think it's beneficial if that happens, and I hope it does happen eventually.
Yeah, I definitely think that like better news outlets are needed. I feel like I am like kind of out of the loop also. The only stuff that I see is from Facebook, and we shouldn't be getting our news from Facebook. And
Agreed.
You know, it's just whatever individual, it's kind of just their opinion. It's what they've heard, and we shouldn't be getting our news that way. Objective news is always hard to achieve, but if we have a news outlet, I think that we could do better in trying to get there. And it would be a source where, you said, over half of Kiowas don't live in jurisdiction, and so it would be somewhere where we could all know what's happening.
Access it.
Be in the know. So
It'd be awesome if we had an app.
It would be.
And then your news, when something comes out, somebody can just type it on and it comes out on your headline, Oh, I'm going to read that. Or, hey, there's a new, or the higher education deadline is coming up November the 15th. Oh, let me go ahead and make sure I got that in. Or submit things on that app. If you have emergency assistance, fill it out on your phone. Submit it that way.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Julia?
I absolutely agree too. Like you mentioned, like the notifications about when deadlines are. Sometimes people just don't know what's out there and what's available, what resources we have. And I mostly get my news from my grandparents. No, I'm just kidding.
And they're there. And they're there. They live there. So they're
same way. And
your mom is there.
Yeah.
So I mean, they hear about
I
stuff.
hear about stuff.
That's the only way you hear about
Facebook or
things.
verbal.
Yeah.
So I
Well-
think it would just be nice to have something.
Well, and it's interesting because, there are so many of our parents' generation, or your parents' generation, or my generation. But my parents' generation, they want a paper, and I think newspapers are such an expensive way to communicate. And then by the time you read that newspaper, it's not news.
Yeah.
Everybody sees stuff on Facebook and on an app.
Yeah.
I mean, I read my news. I get my news through an app.
Yeah.
Weather Channel. NPR, if I listen to NPR on the way into work, I'm listening from the app.
Yeah.
Why? Because I support KGOU, one of my favorite radio stations here in Norman.
Shout
But
out.
I'm just putting that plug out there. But how do Kiowa people communicate? Unfortunately, a lot of my parents and their generation does everything by Facebook. And, people have asked, why don't you have the District 7 Facebook page is not an official page. It's a citizen page. And so I try to tell people I don't regulate it and I don't read it all the time because Konende, why would I do that to my soul when there's so much toxicity that happens on there? And blame gets assigned to whoever, but anybody can post anything on that page. And the Kiowa tribe they have a Facebook page, but it just releases information. Nobody's really dialoguing with them on it, which is a way, but not the way. But I think y'all are right. We need to find an app or some universal way to rule them all. Not rule them, but, rule the communication waves is what I meant.
Yeah.
That came out the wrong way, but to rule how we communicate. Kiowas can't seem to figure that out as a tribe. And that newsletter is not cutting it because by the time you get a newsletter, they posted it on the website, but people don't read it from there. They don't even use our website. I don't know. Tara helps manage our website. You'd be surprised how many people know that we have a website. They don't know that. How do we communicate? It's kiowatribe.org if you want to get on there. And we're the only legislative district that has our own page. So we try to update it as much as we can when new stuff pops up. So Tara takes care of that. But yeah, just kind of communicating. How do we communicate better is always a challenge. So you'll need to sign up for our newsletter too, because y'all live in District 7. We have our own newsletter, goes out monthly. We write you on legislative update, things going on in the community. All that stuff is there. And I guess I want to go ahead while they're sitting here. Do y'all actually know what a legislator does? What do you think a legislator does? I hear crickets, Tara. Good. You got something?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of know what you guys do. I've kind of seen you guys have your legislative meetings.
Sure.
You guys are your own branch within the tribe. So there's the executive, judicial, and now the legislative.
There's 4.
Yeah.
The KIC.
Oh, KIC. My bad.
Yeah. You're okay.
There's 7 of them.
Yeah, there's 7.
You guys all take a different district, which houses different amounts of Kiowa people. I know there's Hobart, Anadarko area,
Carnegie.
And then District 7 is the largest one because it's everyone outside of
Correct.
the kind of that southwest kind of area. It's everyone else that lives elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so I know you guys, legislators, they keep up with the Kiowa people within their own district and then kind of bring up any issues or any kind of ways to progress the Kiowa people into improvement or to improve the Kiowa community.
We do assess the needs, and per the Constitution, that's part of our responsibility is really to assess the needs. We monitor all actions taken by the government, but we also approve the annual tribal budget, as well as make laws, resolutions, and bills to improve the health and well-being of our tribal citizens. And I say that because a lot of people say, my legislator needs to help me, meaning we need to provide direct services. Well, as a legislative district, I have no discretionary spending. Like for example, Julia, if you have an emergency assistance need, I can't cut you a check, and nor do I approve that program because I'm not a social service worker. I can't I can point you in that direction, and that's what we do. We advocate and we point people, say, hey, you need to contact social services. Or if you're a student, Hojona, you said, well, you're a new citizen going to school. Hey, what can the tribe provide me for educational benefits? Well, I can point you to the Kiowa Tribe Education Agency and have them fill out paperwork for you, but I can't approve anything. That's why I bring this up, because a lot of people don't understand what legislators do. We're not the social services workers. I can't approve any kind of funding to go to a specific citizen. All of my budget goes to writing bills, resolutions, and passing laws for our tribe is my sole responsibility. And then we approve the annual budget. So just spreading that gospel out there, so people will hopefully hear this and say, oh, I never thought about that. I thought my legislator was there when I needed help with, my car breaks down. I'm going to go to him or her, and that's not what we do. So if y'all want to work on a law or collaboration partnership with the tribe, I'm all ears. But if you have a need, like your car breaks down, you can't pay your light bill, you have to call the Carnegie and hope that they'll answer the phone. But yeah. Or you can call our District 7 office in Norman, talk to Manila Whitehorse, or our District 7 office in Tulsa, talk to Lisa Onco. They will help you contact the tribe and get you in touch with somebody from social services for those items. Just putting it out there. Okay. Well, thank you for being on this episode of Thongia. And I think it's been a really enlightening discussion for me, and I know our listeners will enjoy hearing your energy. But would you like to say anything in closing?
Oh, I hope they bought, huh? I take our gratitude for allowing us to provide a space for us to speak, and I think this is one of the first times I feel like we've been reached out to by someone in your position, like a legislator, and so we got the message, and I'm not gonna lie, we're like, oh, a podcast, and so we I think everyone else we really appreciate you providing the space and for allowing us to speak our minds in a safe space. Because I do think we need to start being better relatives to each other. We need to provide better relations to each other. Because remember, we're all Kiowa people. At the end of the day, we are going back to our Kiowa people, our Kiowa community, our culture, our language. We are not here. Again, we are here for our own as students. But at the end of the day, we are Kiowa people, and we want to see our Kiowa people succeed. And we are strong, resilient people. And so we just need to start providing spaces for these better, these relations, and just be better relatives to each other at the end of the day.
I agree. Thank you for those words. That we need to say that every podcast. We should be saying that on everything that we have, because I think so much of our Kiowa people are not in that frame of mind right now. We always see the bad and want to focus on the negative and complain, but we don't ever think about the impact of that on our Kiowa community. How do we be good relatives? Let's come to this discussion with ideas, with a good heart and good frame of mind, and respect. I think it goes a long ways. And we've lost that balance. People want to come there with guns ablazing, after something, not thinking about the whole of the community first. So those are good words. I appreciate that. Well, Obaha, we appreciate you. Thank you for being online with us today, and it's been a good discussion. This is a legislative update for our podcast. Since the last time we've had a podcast, we welcome a new legislator. His name is Cole DeLon. He'll be representing District 4, which is the Jimmy Creek Mears District. He started this week. He was sworn in on Tuesday the 15th, so we welcome him, and he's starting the ball rolling. We had our first meeting today to kind of go over the current resolutions and work laid out before the legislature, and I'll kind of run through some of the items that were discussed for this meeting. So, under old business, we're still working on the resolution to approve the new Kiowa Gaming Commission ordinance. I am the sponsor of this bill. We will be sharing that with the other legislators this week for review and feedback. Hopefully, after we have a preliminary approval, we'll send that to the National Indian Gaming Commission. Once we get their feedback, the legislature will be in a position to vote on that piece of legislation for the Gaming Commission. The reason why we didn't want to vote on it prior to it going to the National Indian Gaming Commission is sometimes the National Commission will want us to review or make changes to the ordinance. So we are giving them a chance to conduct an internal review before we vote on it. And I think we've had some good feedback from the Gaming Commission for the tribe, as well as the Kiowa Casino Operating Authority. The second resolution we are going to be looking at is the Federal Charter of Incorporation for Kiowa, Inc. That resolution was read into record a few meetings ago, but we already have tribal corporations approved by the legislature, and we are working with the chairman to figure out if we actually need a federal charter for Kiowa businesses. New business, we are working on revising our code for the court system. That is our criminal code. Mike Primus is sponsoring a bill to look at those revisions and hopefully get them approved through the legislature as well. We are also looking at acquiring a piece of property in Anadarko at 801 Wine and Court. There is a need to have a separate office space that other programs can meet privately. We do have situations such as KDAP where they may have to, that's the Kiowa Alcohol and Drug Abuse Program, that they may need to counsel people privately and need that space to appropriately execute the goals of their grant. So we are looking at acquiring that space at 801 Wine and Court. We are also looking at acquiring a space for the law enforcement agency for the tribe in Carnegie at the old Dollar General building. It was put up for sale, and the tribe is looking at acquiring that at a decent price, around $250,000, to set up a Kiowa law enforcement agency in Carnegie that will be paid for using grant funds that they received from the Department of Interior in order to set up a Kiowa law enforcement agency in the area. We also are working to approve Kiowa Tribe membership to the National Indian Congress, or the National Congress of American Indians, where we'd like to nominate Michael Primus to represent us. And then at the last regular session, a new publication was read into record, and that is a statement and support for the Truth and Healing Commission on the Indian boarding schools policies and bolstering initiatives. And Mike Primus read that into record as well. We held a special legislative order session yesterday. We are looking at filling a couple of seats. One of them was for the Housing Authority. There is a commissioner's seat open. Lincoln Aitson was unable to fulfill his responsibilities, and so we are looking at a couple more people to add into that position. So we're still working on a lot of business as a legislature. If you have any questions or concerns, please give us a call or send me an email, district7legislature@kiowatribe.org, or you can visit us online. Visit our website, kiowatribe.org, or visit us on our YouTube page, Kiowa Tribe District 7. You can just research us on YouTube. We also have a TikTok, Instagram that you can also follow and engage with. So thank you for listening to this legislative update. As always, we have our offices open in Norman and in Tulsa, and we invite you to give us a phone call. Thank you. Deon Deaho for tuning in to this episode of Thongya, our District 7 podcast. The music was provided by Mr. Terry Tsotai. For more information on our legislative work, please visit our website, kiowatribe.org/district-7. Thank you all for tuning in. Hey, I'm I don't I.